to bring Allison up to speed, let's stand up and do a pair share.
What does that mean?
Okay, so find a partner.
Good memory.
Okay, find a partner, and you'll be able to hear from a lot of people, okay? And I'd like you to think of anything that stands out in your mind from yesterday and share it.
Oh, okay, so you're gonna be a good listener.
Yes.
Okay.
Ooh, I really like that. That's very
I really like the.
Okay, let's think.
Just the idea that you're challenging.
Schedules. Talk about schedules. So everyone's recess. We have recess tomorrow night. Make me happy. So kids won't get vomiting. Hopefully. Okay, I really good. Oh, the weather check. Right here. Very good today. Colorado.
These are what we aspire to, and then those should be our values.
Oh, the bugs.
Okay, pause. Find a new partner. And talk specifically about any thoughts you had about this right here, the two lists. Just take about, make a sentence or two each.
So first we talked about the challenge, which is things that we're going to do, or misbehaviors would be a challenge, right? And then later she talked about not really knowing. And then the qualities or gifts that we want to instill in the behaviors. So, also qualities are gifts. They're going to be part of our employee assessments and how we ourselves on them. Right. Feedback.
Okay, would you please speak to your partner in a statement or two about laddership and leadership? And you don't have to re-explain it, maybe in the case of Allison, go for it, but more just what's your takeaway between laddership and leadership? And where you fit in that, okay.
So we first did laddership, and we compared in the history of time, superior to inferior. And then what was it that gave the superior people control of the inferior?
Leadership is leadership. The laddership is so, oh, did I say that wrong?
Yeah, you have more power.
Yeah, that too. I like that for a ladder, so. And then leadership, we're working together as a team.
And these are aspects and how you
come together as a non-power, as a
vision rather than what was
right. One of the things that leadership is more about working together, what was you said, people taking the lead. It's a vulnerable position. Everybody's going
so, and then these were just ways to make sure that everybody just had a
Okay, pause, new partner. Yeah, I did. New partner. Make a statement to each other about the contrast between please be seated and cooperative juggling. We did those back to back. So we did that, please be seated, and we sort of like, yeah, okay, that, and then right after that, we did cooperative juggling. So what were your takeaways for that? Switch part, make sure you're with a new partner.
So for, you guys have to switch.
Oh, okay.
For the please be
So,
seated,
I really liked this a lot. I was like, well, I'm going to do a lot. But that was it.
and how you feel when somebody's yeah, and like the one that's like, please be seated, and like pushing down on that person, like, the child is controlled by the teacher, and then the teacher is definitely controlling the child. The juggling is really cool because we all sat together and we were trying to do like I know like some memory of like the sequence, how to juggle it and how to pay attention and look like in our classroom, focusing the person.
places, but still like
focus
maybe
on,
not vetting them.
what kind of choices are we gonna make to make this
Also,
successful?
now that I'm
So
thinking
they
about
did
it,
down, I
kind of
think,
think in most situations
should
there was
everybody
just
just
mention
make
of
sure
child,
we
tried it a
but
couple times and
within a
then
standing
didn't work
area,
when we
like
actually
focused on the child,
down and then the
whereas the other
Well,
one
yeah,
was
I
trying
got
to,
So it's
let's
a
focus
direct
on the
position.
child,
Yeah,
and
that
kids
was
on
not
pressure,
right.
and let's
Yeah,
not
right.
focus on
Exactly.
the
Right,
pressure.
that's his own.
It wasn't
Okay,
like,
so
oh,
is
it's
that,
small,
like,
everyone was
leadership
president
and-
management.
Well, think of the CCC as sort of the
Definitely
control
collaborative.
and then compared to
Well,
the
how much
dead,
have some
the
kids
welfare
that are
system.
insecure about
They should do a wrench.
Well, I
Like we have
look at it in terms of leadership.
Very much, yeah.
Because
Yeah, you could.
then like,
You know, laddership
if
is,
somebody
you know,
in
we're
your
gonna tell you what to do, and you might not be able to tell you, maybe even tell them
You're
how
working
how
on
they
fail,
can come up
fail,
or whatever. But like,
Whereas how are you gonna react to that?
leadership really
You don't want
really
to
kind of really awkward.
You know,
Okay, new partner.
I said accept respect.
Sorry, I realize you get cut off sometimes, I know. We're teachers, we like to talk. Okay, new partner.
I don't know, Jen.
Kim.
Yeah, we've been,
I took,
I think we've been together.
Oh,
I haven't been with Allison.
Okay,
Okay, well,
I haven't either.
I've been with.
well, you're, I'm in with everyone except for Brooke and Jen.
you can be with
Okay.
someone again, whatever, just mix it
Because
up.
you haven't had Kelly, right?
Yeah.
I haven't had
You
Kelly
had
either.
Kelly. So
But
I go
she's
with
been-
Kelly.
Okay, give it a threesome.
Right,
Okay,
fair enough.
Good
Wait.
problem solved. Remember, you're like, figure it out.
Talk about what you like to do when you flip your lid.
Ooh, okay.
Wow.
So there's one that I thought about
Like,
afterwards.
when you flip your lid.
Like, what do you do to
All
relax?
these things are
Okay, so there's one I thought about
just like-
afterwards. I really like to ask other people what their perspective is on how they can handle things. Everyone has like different personalities. I think they say things totally differently. So I think that's how I can de-escalate, because I'm very empathetic, and so I
For me,
can
I like to,
feel very easily what other people are feeling. Well, I think so.
I like to listen.
For good and bad. But
Like a massage and a bubble bath.
So you don't, I like to listen to music, like you can tell what kind of mood I'm in by the music I'm blasting. I like to do puzzles, very easily. But most of the time I like any music, like you can tell, like if I can really like feel my puzzle. That's like the most rock thing for me.
Really?
Yeah. I said Friday.
That's how it is.
It's like I feel like I'm putting it on.
But when I'm at home, I really like to go and just like lay down and
So
just.
what happens if you don't have a piece?
Most of the time it's just always fabulous.
Yeah.
But
No, I actually, on my Kindle, I do digital puzzles.
music is usually
So I
Okay.
take walks and I write
Like
lists.
within the classroom.
ooh, organize it on paper.
Yeah,
like
it's
usually
usually
No.
Written list.
I don't typically
Yeah,
like
that's
things that,
something I've
yeah,
wondered
I
about.
don't,
What do you just
like
think
usually
is
it's
like
like,
there's much
the things that you yell at are more like.
Yeah,
I
it
just
is.
So if I can like just sit down and say, if I
So-
make one thing, if I have it off my list, I'm happier.
Pause,
That's interesting.
share 2 words, that's all you're allowed to say. No, I'll say, you can say go up to 5 words. When you're flipping your, or when your lid is under pressure, your pressure cooker's going at work, so we can't necessarily pet our dogs or have bubble bath at work. Name, in 5 words or less, either name a few things or a phrase of what you can do as a teacher when you're losing it.
Oh, cool, I have exactly 5
Okay?
minutes.
Great.
I need to take 5.
Like leave the room in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It really helps.
5 words.
Can it be less than 5?
Yes.
Leave the room very quickly.
Make a list. I do have to make a list sometimes. If it's all in my phone, it's like 5 steps.
Yeah.
You know, counting also.
Can we all say that? Deep breathing.
Make a list.
Chocolate.
Chocolate. That's good.
Leave. I heard someone leave the room.
I need to take 5.
Take
I need a break.
Need a break.
I need to leave the room really fast. Leave
Okay.
the room really fast.
Then you get a stock of Kit Kats.
How
I need a
cool
break
is
from
that?
that.
Leave the room to
How cool that everything you just said is totally doable right here in these 4 walls. So awesome. Would you finally get a different person, get back into a twosome? Anyone that you've had before?
I've had everybody, so whoever, can I? May I?
Okay.
Okay, so something that's thinking about the
Quickly share about this.
Oh, I really like that.
So I
Okay,
feel like
share with me.
So, let's see. Let me share it. Like just a summary of what we remember? Or?
What's your takeaway? What's your aha moment?
So,
behavior is maybe
A lot of my, I think I'm pretty aware of the beliefs that I have including schools. But it's difficult for me to change them.
So, for me, the takeaway was, if you see a behavior, don't get upset at the behavior, just try to find the belief that's underlying it and try to address that. So,
I agree. And personally, like I said, I understand my beliefs, but I don't understand it.
yeah.
So that's kind of a bad thing for them to feel, right?
Oh, yeah. Where is that?
So I use with him.
I'm like, oh my
Like something like that.
Really?
I think so.
Huh. That'd be cool. And it makes you balance? How long does it help?
So I think like, I just did it on a whim one day, and
So they're weak right now.
Apparently.
and anyway, and I was like, I got off the table, I was like, I did my sister, she's still annoying, what, all fine, she's so busy. Did what she did, but you know what, I love her, and I can set boundaries, but, you know, I still don't talk with her much. And that's the
Make a
where I
circle.
wanna be, but I don't compensate that. Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
just like, oh, like something's candy.
That makes sense.
Over and over again.
No, it makes sense. It's actually something my boyfriend has had all the time.
Yeah.
Really big on the why. He's like,
Like $50, but I did Academy pays for your first one.
so it's like for $60.
I like something softer and more subtle.
Thanks, I just wanted to know your.
Yeah, I like a chime that reverberate, in a sound bowl. So, yeah, the Tibetan bells, or the gong, or the yeah. I like those because I train the students, please give me your attention by the time the sound is empty, or by the time the sound is gone. Because nobody likes being stopped mid-sentence. So it allows them to finish the sentence and then give the attention. Yeah. But the other thing is we tend to ring bells too much in class. If we're just needing to gather 4 or 5 kids for a presentation, don't ring the bell, just come. So you're not breaking flow to everybody. So I want to share something with you about the belief, okay? We have beliefs too as parents, right? And so our behavior is going to manifest itself based on our beliefs, whether they're guided or misguided, okay? But here's what happens as teachers and as parents. Whatever our beliefs are, we as parents, adults, tend to a bit overcompensate. And so I came from a very strict upbringing. So I tend to be a little bit more kind, a little more soft. Guess what? That's now a button that is ready to be pushed, right? So I also come from a lot of yelling. And so that's a button because the yelling often came with physical and cringe, you know. So for me, that's a button because if my kids are yelling at each other, you know, that's a shutdown for me, okay? Or I also came from a family that was not emotionally honest, so that's very important to me. Now, buttons aren't bad, but if we really overexpress our compensations, these buttons can either be growth enhancing or growth prohibitive for the children that we're around. Does that make sense? So we have to kind of think about if you don't have goal alignment with behavior, because we talked about this mistake in goals that we're gonna go to today. If you don't have a little goal alignment, that's called a big giant button that says press me, right there, press your forehead or wherever, and they find them. So just something, a little visual to think about, what buttons do you have on? And are they going to be growth enhancing or growth prohibitive? So in the case of me wanting to not be coming from a non-emotional, honest, family, or non-emotional, and emotionally somewhat, just not so much dishonest, just, yeah. That has become something that's been very growth-minded in my family. But because of the strictness, I would say my softness sometimes gets in my way as a teacher, as a parent. I'm softy too much, you know. So I have to really work on the firmness. So just know that about these beliefs. These buttons are very present, and even if you don't know you have them, the kids find them sometimes before we do, right? Yeah. Okay, so while we're standing, let's stay here for a minute, and then we're going to sit. Just to kind of get us our heads in the game for today, I'd like, may I use you, Kelly, as an example, as my partner, and then you'll partner up and try this? I want us to think about something that I'm going to do with Kelly, and then how that, throughout the day, kind of how that plays into what we're doing today, okay? So, I want you to think of sort of permissiveness, and you are the fairly permissive teacher, okay? And I want you to stand, and I'm just going to gently give you a little push, and I want you to sort of react the way a permissive.
Permissive, like, what does permissive mean?
This is pretty much legal.
Oh, I'm not permissive, so.
You're like kind of push.
So I'm just going to gently give you a push, and you're going to just easily move, okay? Okay. It's so, that's a button.
I know, and I
Yeah.
never got.
Yeah, see, good. Now, none of you are neglectful, but I do want you to realize that kids are coming with these codes across their forehead, like, you know, these are my needs for the day, and how often we're neglecting because we're busy being busy, not because I don't feed you and I leave you at home alone, but because I'm so busy being busy with my own agenda that I'm not really perceptive that there's a much bigger need present in the room, okay? So when I do that, I'm gonna give you a push, and I literally want you to just turn it back, okay? Like, in fact, before I even push, okay, just turn your back. Okay? And then I want you to I want you to be really strict, rigid. I want you to feel your whole body sort of in that tense, rigid place. Okay? Ready? Oh, that's not very rigid. You can get tense up. Relax. Your hands here. Tense up. There you go. Not only was she rigid, but what did her body do? She actually pushed back. Okay. Now I want you to think of yourself as a tree. And I want you to think of your legs as roots, and you're really grounded. And then you have this really strong trunk. I know, we're not talking about our core. You don't have to do Pilates for this one. Okay, so we're strong, we find some strength, and we're thinking like a tree. And I really want you to think grounded and rooted. Pushing pretty hard. Okay. Take turns doing that. There's 4. Being this person, and this is sort of, think of that my role is sort of like the child. Okay, and then switch. All right.
So when person.
Push me first. Yeah. Oh, for that last. So what are we? Yeah. Go ahead and push me. Okay, I can stay pretty rigid without necessarily pushing back.
Okay, that's
But
what
I
we
also
need,
feel a
right?
little
That's right now.
harder. But it's good. I feel that difference.
Or just go there out of the camera.
It's supposed to be,
Yeah,
I
I
know
feel
it's
different.
Yeah,
here,
ready?
come
Oh,
join
no,
me.
you're the child.
Join Brooke so that
So
you're
you're the
not.
teacher.
I was trying to be rigid. You're stronger than I am.
No, it's a tree.
Why don't you be the child?
nice.
Okay.
So then,
Easier.
and then the other one is,
And they clap.
Whatever you
Oh,
want.
yeah,
Nice.
so that's it, right? Okay.
I like before I even touch you.
Are we supposed to be at the tree with our students? Are we?
Yeah, do all 4 roles and then switch, and each of you should do all 4 roles. Oh, good, okay.
Are we gonna talk about,
And
how
then-
to be authoritarian? No, authoritative.
Good, you guys all
What
finished?
tree do you think, or what
That's
model?
the
Okay, you ready?
Are we gonna talk about how we can,
How
So you know a little bit about the difference between authoritarian and authoritative. A lot of people don't.
We're just using this.
Yeah. What did you study? Yeah, great. So this should feel right at home for you.
Authoritative.
Authoritative means like,
Yeah, so think of authoritative as being more democratic and authoritarian as being more,
Well, I mean, not just for them.
Are you? Yeah.
Well, it's like setting boundaries.
Alignment,
But
still
alignment, in fact, it's healthier for families to have alignment than
consistent parents.
I love that visual because like
that happens a lot. It's very difficult. It happens in the classroom between teacher and assistant as well, or teacher co-teacher. Yeah, and we are going to talk about that.
I don't talk bad.
And as one becomes more good cop, the other one actually moves towards becoming more good cop. Okay, did you guys get a chance to feel that? Let's come over and share.
Hi.
Oh! Should I give you a moment?
No. But I'm just like, you see yourself there, you're like, oh.
I don't want to see
I'm put on a
myself.
jacket and I'm gonna like make it long.
Okay. Or you can look.
Yeah, let's share a little bit about that.
Sorry.
What did that feel like? What did you embody when you did that?
I think the biggest thing was the neglect.
Okay,
That was your trigger.
That like hurt.
We don't need to have that playing
and yet, I would say most teachers that might that might do that is completely inadvertent, right? No mean intention behind it, but it really, to the child, you really felt rejected, didn't you? Yeah.
The same with the stiff ones.
Okay.
Similar kind of feeling like rejected. This was the past one.
So talk to me about the stiff one. Those of you, when you got to that rigid place,
I just felt mean.
as the pusher or the person holding? I mean, yeah, which one? Or both?
Kind of both.
It was kind of interesting because whenever I anticipated being rigid, I already like was in that mindset and I was already like, I want to say angry, but I was ready to fight or push back.
Okay.
It's like just trying.
Before I even heard it or felt the pressure at all, I was just like.
So let's think about the animal kingdom. They posture, you know? Yeah, I mean, we're just, and the feathers go up and the tail goes down or whatever. So it's interesting. Kids can come in with either they posture or we posture, but then we react to that. That's pretty common. So interesting. Other thoughts or feelings or?
I didn't like when I was pushed back against the most.
Okay. You didn't like that. Okay.
Well, I felt like the one where the permissive one, it just felt so directionless. Like, how far do I go? Where do I stop? And it felt out of control for both, I felt, because it was like, if I was the one pushing, it's like, oh, they're gone now. And if I was the one that was pushed, it's like, okay, where am I going? It just didn't feel any direction.
So think about even a child. Would you stand up for me for a minute, or with me for a minute? Think about a child who's sort of like relying on you, and they push to kind of, and then guess who falls too? There's sort of this like, I need you to be my rock, I need you to give me boundaries, and when you don't give me any boundaries, we both just gotta go over the ledge. Yeah. The boundary. Okay. So other thoughts about being child pusher or a tree?
The tree was where I think we all want to be. Where we have the boundaries, we have the roots. But we're still, it's the balance, but we're still having fun and making sure that the child is feeling loved and cared for and that they can come to us, but still having those boundaries.
I also think that was the easiest to be pushed against. That was just the most comfortable position.
How do you get grounded?
Every morning, I'm going to have you encourage you to just sort of your day before you walk through this door of like, this is my place where I'm grounded, I'm rooted, and I have people relying on me.
For 7 hours.
Sort of, this is my intention, right? But it also, so it's like before we even walk in the door, but it's also when a child comes at you, you don't have to respond right away.
That was, I mean, I didn't have that emotional connection. I mean, I knew what Sarah was gonna do, and I knew, like, you don't take it personally. And I'm hearing everybody having this, like, powerful experience. I'm like, I didn't feel any of those things. I just knew that it was an exercise. I think sometimes if you know a student's gonna be some way, or, you know, students are gonna be always at some point, or, you know, different people come with their own baggage, that you can just say, hey, it's not personal. You know, this is just.
You're a really analytic personality, and you have a lot of logic in your mind.
That's kind of nice.
And it's a gift. No, it's a gift, you know, I mean, my daughter is like that.
I think your greatest strengths are your greatest weaknesses.
Yeah.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
So my daughter, Mom, just keep it real, just tell me, stop trying to encourage, she even said that, stop trying to encourage me, make it all, you know, like, you know, easy for me, just cut it to me straight. And you're that kind of personality, just like, I have a job, I'm a parent, I gotta be rooted and create a boundary, you know, so that's not your button.
But I think too, if you know what's gonna come at you, you can say, hey, you know, quit taking it personally, you know, it's
Right.
just like, oh, it just is what it is.
And here's another great thing, since you were my buddy, oh no, is this bad on your tailbone?
It depends, are you gonna push me?
No, you're gonna push me. I didn't think about that when I asked about pushing you, I'm sorry.
Oh, that doesn't hurt, it's just that.
So watch two. So when I'm rooted, go ahead and push me. Yeah, I don't want that one today. You know, like you could just let that one go. Like, you know what I mean? Versus, okay, I gotta deal with this. Go ahead. I gotta deal. Push hard. It's all right. I'm good. Like, but I'm good. Like, there's a lot going at me today, but I'm good. Because I need. I gotta work on this one. But like, you don't take them all. You know, you can kind of dodge a few because I'm so grounded. I'm not gonna fall. Or if you do, it's okay. So we're gonna explore that a lot today, and hopefully give you some concrete examples of what that means in the classroom. It's all great to talk about it, but give it to me in tangible terms. So hopefully we'll walk away with that today. But in reaction to yesterday, I found a little poem, and let me unlock that. And Kim agreed to read that for us today. Is it so small? Can you read that all right?
All right. I don't think we do that. Anyway, what if we could sit together in circles of honesty and trust, sit in stillness, welcome silence, be patient, discover wonder and mutual gratitude, learn together, and gradually build new confidence in our ability to create spaces in which to hear and speak our unique stories and find out common truths? What if we could learn to listen and let our lives speak? What kind of world could we create together on this earth if we were able to speak to and hear one another from our deepest yearnings and our most heartfelt concerns and dreams?
What, Kim? It's a lot of groundedness. You can take it easier. Some of us, I'm pointing to you because you were willing to share. Some of us take that easier, so we give it easier. And some of us don't take it as easy, thus we don't give it as easy. And you brought that up yesterday, like give me scripts, like I wanna connect. Script me so I have tools. So it's rough, isn't it? Because we have a lot of baggage. So what if we could do that, then we could get humans, these little humans doing that? That'd be really exciting, wouldn't it? What if we could do that, then we'd have this great list, right? Speaking of that list, I wanted to add, it's like pin the tail on the donkey here, but I wanted to add this. Why do you think I put that up there?
Because we want these challenges to eventually give them gifts or qualities.
It's kind of like a bridge. We need this. We need those. So they are challenges, but they're gifts too. You kind of talked about that a second ago, that, you know, the contrast between what our strengths become our weaknesses, but, you know, in this case, these weaknesses are going to become our strengths if we see them as opportunities to learn. And that was a big piece of Adler that we shared yesterday. I didn't punctuate it much, I kind of threw it in at the end, but a huge piece to the Adlerian theory is this idea that mistakes are opportunities to learn. So what might that look like in terms of a rooted teacher with a kid pushing buttons? Okay, so a kid's coming at you and, okay, they're asking for something and your answer is no, because we've already been through this before, or give them an inch and they take a mile, or the parent that's arguing because they came late, you know, oh, come on, da, 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 whatever it may be. Okay, so when we're rooted and we're developing those skills, we connect before we correct. So that rootedness is, I can see this is hard for you, and I really have faith in your ability to overcome this challenge. I see you're struggling, and I really look forward to hearing what your plan is. I can tell this is hard for you, so I'm connecting. I have felt this way before too. I would never want to rob you the opportunity to see how life can teach you right now. You know, and these statements are powerful. The kid goes, oh, you know, I see you're struggling. I'm so glad you have this opportunity to do some learning. How lucky you are. I had that opportunity last week. When you're through this challenge, let's compare notes. That is that I am your boundary. You can count on me. I'm not a moving target, but I'm compassionate and empathetic and, you know, flexible enough to help you through it. I'm supportive. Kids don't necessarily know that life is bringing them opportunities to develop the green list, and it's also sort of bringing a consciousness of it. And they walk away like, oh, cool. You know, I am so glad you made that mistake. There is so much learning to be happening through this mistake. I hope you'll share not only with me, but maybe even with your classmates.
Do you ever worry with the amount of technology or our fast-paced world and our perfection and trying to have the perfect body or whatever, that kids are coming a little more challenged in a way to accept when you are trying to teach them a lesson?
What do you guys think?
Well, it's like I know it, you know, they are, but
I would even encourage you to reframe that. It's not we are trying to teach them a lesson. We want to stay out of their way for them to see what lesson is in front of them. You know, it's not, the agenda isn't we are trying to teach you something. And if we go with that mindset, it's way too easy for the kids to pick up on our agenda and they won't do the learning because they're focused on the fact that you're trying to control the situation or you're trying to manipulate me. So it's a real interesting shift. The result is the same because we don't know what lesson is there for that kid because of their belief system. And they may pick up on something totally different.
How do you reframe that?
I think she said it might be hard for them to accept that we are trying to teach them a lesson. And I would just reframe that to allowing the child to receive a lesson, or not, that sounds like Montessori-ish, but getting out of the way so the child can do the learning of the lesson and not trying to manipulate. You weren't necessarily saying that, I was just challenging your mindset.
I was.
You were what?
I was saying that.
Oh,
I'm
you
not
were saying that?
Montessori,
Okay.
so this was good for me to hear. I I mean,
Well,
I'm
and
not
I don't even know if
really-
that's a Montessori thing. Montessorians can be pretty manipulative too, positive and negative. But it's just a paradigm shift for us as adults and what our role is. And I think sometimes we forget what it means to be 9 because we have our adult agenda. And our adult agenda is being shaped by our beliefs and by good intentions. I don't want you to suffer. I want you to be happy. I want you to love school. I want you to like me. I want you to want to learn. And we can't control any of that. Our job is not for them to be happy and for life to be easy. Our job is actually to get out of their way and allow them to do the learning mostly on their own. That's the compatible piece with Montessori, but many of Montessorians are embracing the curricular component of that, but maybe not necessarily the life component of that. Other thoughts? But did you get your question answered though? Because I commented on your question, not even on your phrasing of your question, not on your question itself.
Well, it's just a concern I think I have in general about society, you know, but I think that's also why we create this school and this environment is so, it's different than when they leave us.
We want to intentionally put challenges in front of their way and see how they creatively problem solve themselves.
Right, and that's a manipulative piece. That's a good manipulation. We want to present them to them intentionally, and then back off and see where they go with that. But what we don't want to do is when the kid has made a mistake to now try to control that lesson. The more we can back off from that, the better.
And I've seen this model where, kids get into a group and there's a lesson that's to be had, and you say, so this happened, what do you think about it? Like, how do you think it affected the group? What are you gonna choose to do to fix it, or what could we do to fix it? And it's, kids, they know the answers. I mean, they know what to do. It's inside of them.
But are those skills that they need before they can do it, or is that something, you know what I mean, depending on where they're coming from?
The Acton framework, groundwork that you lay gives them the communication tools to hold each other accountable, and and communicate in a way that's positive, and then they do it, and it's.
But that groundwork,
That's the culture.
is that,
And Brooke, I think Brooke is gonna be amazing at setting that groundwork.
the Yakers are doing something different, that's what you didn't mention.
Education comes from the root word to draw forth. That implies there's something in there. And it's our job to pull it out, or to help draw it out. The pull even sounds like a struggle. To help draw it out, to free it up. So, Kelly, I think they are capable, and I think that our adultisms are barriers to them a bit. So, but we have to believe it, and we have to give them an environment where it is totally okay to make a mistake. That I'm not looking for blame and shame, we're looking for solutions. And that we really see, not mistakes as not only being okay, but truly opportunities. And that we'll be better because of them, not just get through, but we'll actually be stronger individually and collectively. That's a real culture shift, because we're who we hardest on. And we talked a lot of it about modeling yesterday. And so, how are we handling our mistakes? And are we showing that they're happening, letting our guard down on a small scale or on a larger scale? So I storytell from my lifetime all the time to kids. They love to hear my stories. I tell mistakes I made as a kid, like some of my most embarrassing, humiliating moments, that if I could go back in time, I could rewind to like 3 or 4 really distinct experiences that I wish I could do different. But I also share things like, oh my gosh, guess what I forgot today? And then so there's like these small scale mistakes and these large scale mistakes. I do it all the time. I really open up the idea of letting people share. Yeah. So And that can even be at a classroom meeting before we get, when we're really, because remember in that discipline, positive discipline house, we really don't get to the meeting till we have all these essential skills. And one of the essential skills is respecting differences, communication skills, focusing on solutions. Those are a few. So we're doing we're having class meetings of group experiences, and then it's not until we've established that culture that we really get to that powerful solution format. So you can do, I think you said something like high-low. You could share high-low. Go around the circle, share your high, share your low. Go around your circle. Anybody make a mistake today they want to share? Now, that might be the opening another day. Anybody want to make a mistake and share what they learned? So there's another, so there's oodles of sharing circles, or experiences, experiential type meetings that we do before we get to that agenda. And then you continue that. So you might still do agenda things 3 days a week, and other 2 days you have 2 quick circles and you just do experiences where you're bonding and growing.
Now, are these in the book?
Yes.
Different, like, circle time
Yes.
conversations?
That's why I was saying I would buy 1 manual,
Yeah.
preferably 1 per class, but 1 at least for now, so that the teacher's guide is just full. It'll say essential skill number 1, and then it will give you a bunch of ideas and actual exercises. Essential skill number 2, and then it has a bunch of exercises. Yeah. And then you guys will come up with a bunch too. Your own experiments. It sounds like things that you do from Acton will spill over and
The
such.
woman created it, took positive discipline training, and a lot of it is woven in.
Nice, great, so everything we're doing is so compatible, that's awesome. Okay, any other thoughts before we get going in terms of the poem, in terms of this idea of this think tree? That's a new lingo. Should we add that? Think tree is what it's called. Think and go to your rooted place. So think tree is, you could use that with your teaching partner, either verbally or non-verbally, if you see them struggling.
It's gonna be our nonverbal.
Do this tree pose.
Yeah, I mean, and it might just be that, this is, you could do your little yoga thing, or it could just be, you need a break, and go out and find your think tree, and ask, or I need a think tree moment. That's a nice, say, I need to go get grounded. Okay? But that also, never mind, I'm not saying more about that. Okay, so let's do a little activity. I'm going to, that just stems right into this. I'm going to ask that, so when we think about the think tree, we're really bridging this idea of kind and firm. And a lot of people associate kindness with niceness and firmness with meanness. And I don't want you to think about it that way. So everybody take a deep breath with me. And exhale. Let's do it again. Okay, so for the next hour, I want you to choose one of those and only do one of those. So you can, for the next hour, I want you to only inhale or only exhale. How's that feel? What would happen?
Like that?
It feels like death. You would die, right? Literally. Well, in terms of our groundedness with kids, we will die, figuratively, one without the other, because they both have such great things to offer. So I thought I'd just, if you guys are willing to sit in 2 groups, I would like you to focus on the positive. One group will focus on the positive of firm, and just make a list of all the great things that come out of being firm. Okay? And then I want you to focus on all the liabilities that come out of being firm, only. Okay? And then kind. positive and negative. So each group sort of is going to focus on the positive side of life, the negative side of life, with just that one quality. And here's an example, like the positive affirm. You're having an earthquake drill. How might that show up as a positive, you know, in terms of a real firm kind of teacher that's been really clear?
Their students know exactly what to do.
Yeah, okay, so there's kind of like, there's one example, there's a safety example that I gave you, right? Because sometimes people go, what are the positives of, you know, or how do we look at this, you know, that way? So there's an example. Does that kind of get you going in that direction? So try to think of specific type things, okay? Anybody who's feeling,
I want that one.
you want to talk about the firms?
I'll play with these two.
Okay, and you guys will talk about the times. Now, I have markers.